Hi guys, it's Misty. Welcome back to another card video. I'm back to share another Simon Says Stamp Wednesday challenge with you, which I haven't really done the last couple weeks. I've been doing some different videos on organizing my craft room, so hopefully you guys have checked those videos out. It's how I store my dies, and then how I store my stamps and dies using Evernote. So I'll put a little link somewhere up in the top right hand corner if you want to check out those videos. But so this week the challenge is we're using a spring mood board, and I'll insert a picture of this beautiful mood board. And I decided to go with a baby themed card. I took the adorable little brown bunny. I used that for my card, and I took the gray from the sheep. He's kind of gray, so that's where I got that color. What else? I used a little chickadee, so I got some yellow in there and the yellow flowers, and a little pink in the my little bunny's ears. So I took what I wanted from the mood board, and this is what I ended up with. So I'm using some Simon Says Stamp Fog cardstock, and here I'm using my anti-static tool to make sure my embossing powder doesn't stick where I don't want it to. I'm using Simon Says Stamp clear ink, and I'm stamping up this beautiful Quilted Hearts background stamp. I've been wanting this stamp for a little bit now, so I was really excited to get it, so I had to use it for this card. I'm going to stamp it twice. I didn't press very well on the left-hand side, so I wasn't sure if I was going to cut this down yet or not. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink it up twice. And I'm using removable tape on the back of my fog cardstock, so that way it'll stay right where I want it to. And now that I have a nice good impression, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some white embossing powder over it. Oh, and then we have to have a visit from Bruno. This cat weighs like 35 pounds, and he's like a bull in a china shop. Knocks everything over all the time. But he wanted to say hi. He likes to look out the window. All right, I'm using the Ranger Super Fine White Embossing Powder for this. I just thought with this background and these tiny little hearts and, the little dots, I thought the Super Fine Embossing Powder would be perfect for this. I actually use the Super Fine quite a bit. It's what I use most all of the time, actually. I'm just trying to figure out which images I want to use. There's so many great images on the stamp set. There's images for Easter. You get the Easter eggs and the bunnies with the Easter basket and stuff, but there's also this cute little bunny. It looks like he is floating with 3 balloons in his hand. And then you have sentiments about, like I'm using here for new babies. So it's a really great stamp set here. This is the bunny wishes. I don't know if I already said that, but I'm trying to figure out where I want to place everything. At first, I thought I was going to use both of the little birds in the stamp set, but I end up not having enough room for both of them, which you'll see here. I'm going to go ahead and stamp them anyway. I stamped them with Memento. No, I didn't stamp them. I'm going to heat emboss them with black embossing powder because I'm going to watercolor them. So again, I'm going to use my anti-static pouch to make sure powder doesn't go everywhere. And I'm using the Tim Holtz watercolor paper. I'm using the textured side. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp it again just because this paper's kind of toothy and I want to make sure I get a nice solid image. I'm going to use some black embossing powder for this. If my image is small enough, I won't use a coffee filter, but like on the background it was large, so I use a coffee filter so I can just funnel it right back into my little container here. But for these little images, I'll just pour it right over the little container. But I still end up with embossing powder all over my work area here. Never fails. And I'm going to use my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. That's a mouthful. And I always have a hard time with these, but I love the idea of them, so I keep trying to use them. I try to quickly put some color down, and Tried to quickly get in there with my water brush, but it takes me a while to get that color drawn up from that bottom area. It looks horrible right now, but in the end, I'm happy with it because I kept working with it. And the scary thing about doing that is depending on what kind of watercolor paper you use, it could start pilling if you overwork it too much. And that just means that your paper starts getting, looks like little fuzzies on it. It's basically just your paper starting to disintegrate. But luckily that did not happen. I don't know what makes some watercolor papers do that. Anyway, I thought for sure I was going to be starting over with this. I'm so glad I didn't stop because I thought about just stopping and, reheat embossing it and starting over. But in the end, I was actually pretty happy with it. And I almost wish I would have stopped here and not put on this other layer of color because I was worried that my bunny was getting a little too dark. Because I wanted her to be kind of a brownish color, a light brown, which she is in the end. She's kind of an interesting color. But I left all of this coloring in just to show you how much I worked it or tried to work it. Because like I said, I really thought that this was garbage. I thought I was going to chuck this and start over. So hang in there, even if it doesn't look right when you first start. You can just play with it and try to make it work. Don't give up. And I think it helped to dry. I dried it and then I added another layer of color. These pins don't really work if you try to go over wet paper, the zig brushes. And then here I'm just going to add a soft pale pink to the inside of the ears, the bottom of the little bunny's feet, and then the bunny's cheeks. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that. But I pretty much colored the whole area there with the pale pink, just because it was so light. Then I decided to color the bow yellow to match the little birds. And this way, this card could be used for a baby girl or boy. It was either yellow or like a pale green. Those are pretty much the only two colors I ever see when somebody doesn't know the sex of the baby yet. I guess orange would work too, huh? Orange or red. But I was going by the mood board, so I went with yellow. And then I colored the little chickadees the same color, so, moving on, didn't need to see that. And then I just fussy cut the images out. And the whole time I wasn't sure what I was going to do about the sentiments because I heat embossed the background and I didn't want to stamp the sentiments right on the background over that heat embossed area because I thought it would look kind of funky. And I didn't necessarily want two strips across the top and the bottom. So I started looking through my dies and I came across this little number. This is from My Favorite Things. This is an older die set, but it's the Stitched Rounded Rectangle Stacks die. And I love it. It was perfect for this. So I'm using my mini Misty to stamp these out, just so I can stamp it twice. I don't know what we did before the Misties came along. With these solid sentiments like this, like the congrats word here, you don't always get the best impression the first time around, so love it that I can stamp it again. And just because I can, I'm going to stamp the bottom sentiment twice too. I don't know if you can hear my neighbor screaming outside, but it's really annoying. And he does it all the time. You can't just talk to the other neighbor across the street. They have to scream at each other. You would think that we're in a locker room and the coach is pumping us up for the big game. Seriously. All the time. All the freaking time. I am in a mood today. Can you tell? Actually, I'm in a really good mood today. I don't know why. Contrary to what you're hearing. I'm just happy to be alive, I guess. I'm using some foam tape and some foam squares to pop up my little bunnies. But first, I'm going to attach my background to a card base. I'm using the Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock. And I'm using some Tombow Mono multi-liquid glue to attach that background to my card base. I forgot to mention earlier too that front panel that has my sentiments on it, that was also the 110-pound cardstock. And then I'm going to put my little front panel on here. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to pop up the whole panel or just the bunnies. And in the end, I decided to pop up just the bunnies. I just wanted to keep this card simple. As hard as that is for me to do sometimes, that's what I was going for. And I didn't get that front panel on straight right away, so that's the great thing about the liquid adhesive is you have a couple seconds to make adjustments. Which is perfect because I'm horrible at getting things straight. So I need all the help I can get. Alright, and then I'm just going to pop my little bunnies right into place. And I almost left the card just like this, but I really wanted to use the little chicks that were on the mood board. And since I couldn't fit them both on here, I'm just going to use the one that looks like it's fluttering in the air. And that is going to wrap up my card for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll have at the end here the last two videos I did, which weren't cards. They were actually how I organize things in my craft room using Evernote, and then how I store my dies as well. So that'll be on the screen here in a second if you want to watch those videos. And I will see you guys next week, hopefully with another card video. All right, thanks guys. Bye.